nerves all got along. They probably got me down by the end of the song.